So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Justin Ellis with Iowa and Minnesota Campus Compact, and today we're talking about the Campus Compact AmeriCorps post-site application. This is for the 2020 through 2021 program year, and just a general reminder, the deadline for this is March 13th, 2020. If you do have questions or anything like that, feel free to ask throughout. You can also put up the chat box or put something in the chat box. I am monitoring that, so I do have that on there as well. So I'm happy to answer questions then, and then we'll also have time at the end to ask questions as well. Obviously, you can also ask questions outside of this opportunity whenever it works for you. So just to kind of dive into things, who's all on the team now? So I'm Justin Ellis. I am the Director of Development and Iowa Operations here at Iowa Minnesota Campus Compact. I know we've got a couple other Campus Compact folks on the line. Monique and Isaac, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves.
Hi everyone. I'm Monique, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Program Manager for Student Success. So I'll probably be working very closely with all of you.
Thanks, Monique.
I'm here too now. Sorry I'm late.
Oh. Hey, Carly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carly Bonson, and I am the Program Coordinator here at Iowa Campus Compact.
Oh, you're kind of muted, Isaac. But that's Isaac. Maybe, do you have headphones in? That might be why. Oh. No, but that's all right. That's Isaac. He's our newest team member. He's a program coordinator with us, and he's going to be focused mostly on the academic year positions, supporting them. So what's the agenda today? We're going to walk through a little bit of the background, then we're going to talk through some of the key things in the application, purpose, priorities, outcomes, performance measures. We'll talk about benefits and requirements, what's the broad timeline, and then we'll walk through the host site application and application instructions, how to actually fill out the application. And then I am going to briefly talk about post-award information, like what does it actually mean to run a program. So for those of you who are continuing on, you can stay along for that. We don't have a firm sense that there's going to be any major changes to next year, but this is just kind of a broad overview of what it's like to run an AmeriCorps program. So for those of you who are new, that'll be useful for you, and the written instructions do have some of that information there as well. So on the background side of things, this is a federal grant opportunity that Campus Compact provides to its member campuses in the state of Iowa. Where does the funding come from this? Well, we receive funding from the Corporation for National Community Service, or the AmeriCorps program, so they're the federal agency that's behind this. And they award funding to the state agency called Volunteer Iowa, or also the Commission on Volunteer Services in Iowa, who is who we apply to and who we report to for this particular grant opportunity. So there's the state and federal entities that are at play here for this particular application. The whole purpose behind the Campus Compact AmeriCorps program is for campuses or volunteer centers of Iowa to seek to expand or deepen their community partnerships. For our higher ed partners, we really want to see your AmeriCorps positions contribute to the creation or implementation of your civic action plan. So if you don't have a civic action plan, we would love for AmeriCorps members to contribute to the development of that. And if you do have a civic action plan, we want to see your AmeriCorps members helping you to implement that plan in whatever way that you feel is appropriate and fits within the guidelines of this particular program, which is capacity building. For our Volunteer Center of Iowa partners, we're looking to support AmeriCorps positions that recruit and place college students into volunteer positions. And one of the reasons why we decided on that is we had done an evaluation, or kind of a needs look at nonprofits across the state of Iowa on their partnership needs with higher ed. And one of the things that we noticed is that oftentimes nonprofit partners go to higher ed institutions looking for volunteer support. Unfortunately, higher ed isn't always equipped to serve as a volunteer center in some communities, And that's where Volunteer Centers of Iowa can really play a key role in being able to act as that third party between higher ed and the nonprofits in the area to recruit and place college students into volunteer positions. So we're excited to be able to expand the program into that field as well. One of the things that I wanted to note, so for those of you who are returning from, currently funded this year and looking at next year, I wanted to talk about a pretty fundamental, substantial change to how this program is funded. So in our current year, we have one grant and everything is under that one grant. And going into next year, Volunteer Iowa is asking us to submit 2 separate grants in order to, one, it's going to shrink the size of both grants overall, but then also will allow us to secure a stronger stream of funding for our stipended positions. So our stipended positions are our full-time AmeriCorps positions, our half-time AmeriCorps positions, and our summer AmeriCorps positions. So they're not the academic year ones that just received the education award. So that's what we're going to be doing going into this next year, and we've submitted our competitive application, the one at the top with the full-time, half-time, and summer positions. And then just wanted to note that there's going to be some changes related, some small changes related to how the grant application looks this year and how the program looks a little bit next year. One of the big ones is that we'll have a new team member on board. That's Isaac, so yay. We have another person to help support all of your student positions. The other thing is that there's a change in how the cost share works for the program. So we are requesting cost share for all stipended positions. We were doing that last year, but we were waiving cost share if you were requesting personnel funding for your cohort of students. We are no longer able to do that, unfortunately, because we have to treat these the grants and the funding for them as completely separate. So there's kind of some budgetary issues that have caused that. And then we're also centralizing the professional development funding and opportunities for our full-time and half-time positions. So currently those positions receive about $1,000 for professional development of their choice. And what we're doing in the future is we're structuring key professional development and training opportunities for those positions that Iowa Campus Compact will put together and manage for those positions. And we'll work with those positions to be able to provide them with meaningful opportunities. Other changes on the minimum time positions or kind of those academic student level positions is that we're hoping to also increase our training opportunities for those positions. Currently, we only have the Civic Action Academy, and we're looking forward to being able to do more and provide more training opportunities to our student level positions. We'll also have increased available personnel funding available to campuses who wish to request it. So we're hoping to be able to support more campuses going into the 2021 cycle to be able to support your ability to manage more your AmeriCorps cohorts. So what are some of the main components of the Campus Compact AmeriCorps program? What's kind of at the highest level to think about what it's like to have a program and to work with us in this grant. Certainly you receive those AmeriCorps positions. We also do award host sites who have larger cohorts of the non-stipended AmeriCorps positions. They can receive that personnel time and funding support. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. We do request cost share for the stipended positions to help pay for their living allowance. Volunteer centers, we do require that you become an affiliates member. However, you can use your cost share payments to offset those affiliate membership dues. And then the whole purpose behind the program and the positions is really to build the capacity of the host site to be able to develop and implement your civic action plan, or in the case of volunteer centers, to build your capacity to be able to leverage college student volunteers into the community. And then finally, we're especially interested in awarding positions to sites that provide academic or basic need support to low-income college students in obtaining post-secondary degree, or partnerships between higher education and community agencies that alleviate poverty. So that's not a requirement, but it is something that we're hoping to be able to do with the program. What are kind of the overarching priorities for the program? I kind of tiptoed around this in the last slide, but for all positions, we do want them to be supporting in the civic action plan development and implementation process in some way. For the stipended positions in particular, this is what we're requiring all of them to be doing. So if you are hoping to have a full-time or half-time position, we want to see them either helping you with the development process of that civic action plan or helping you to implement that plan in some way or to build your capacity to do so. For the minimum time or the student level positions, we want to see those positions that can help directly with the civic action planning or implementation process. But we also do understand and see that there's a lot of benefit to having those student level positions focus on one of 3 other things. It could be leveraging student volunteers. Maybe your civic action plan doesn't explicitly mention just leveraging student volunteers and you want students to be able to do that on campus or out in the community. That's certainly something that we are prioritizing for this program. Second one is building campus community partnerships pretty broadly. And then last one is student basic needs, providing that level of support, whether it's in the area of program development or outreach or partnership development or something else, whatever it is that looks, whatever it looks like there locally on your campus. What are some of the things that we're trying to accomplish with this program? Well, the 4 things that we're looking for most are to increase the college university capacity to partner with the community. We also want to be able to increase the capacity of the Volunteer Center of Iowa organizations to recruit college student volunteers. And then for all of our AmeriCorps members, we are looking to increase their civic competency to be able to become civic champions and civic agents after their AmeriCorps term of service. And then we are also hoping broadly across all positions and all organizations and all communities to really increase the total number of beneficiaries served in that local community. What are we measuring with this particular program? Well, our performance measures are pretty simple. They are the number of host sites completing a civic action plan, and the number of organizations who are receiving services from Campus Compact AmeriCorps members. So if you are, that includes all campus host sites that we might have in the volunteer centers of Iowa. But if you're a campus host site who takes a academic year position or one of the student level positions and then places them into them at a nonprofit in the community or public organization in the community, then we do, we want to know who that is and we will be counting them for this program as well. And then the number of host sites who are improving their capacity as a result of the Campus Compact AmeriCorps members services. And that's a pretty broad one, but what it really boils down to for us is really knowing that the campus is improving its capacity to be able to complete the items identified in its civic action plan. And that's what it really revolves around, and that's the reporting that it really revolves around everything for us. What are some of the benefits that we provide to host sites in order to help you through this program to be able to work on your civic action plan? Well, we certainly provide AmeriCorps positions to be able to support your capacity or to grow your capacity. And then we do provide the funding for personnel time or supervisor time to supervise the AmeriCorps members. So how does it all work? So the AmeriCorps positions, they're awarded to the host site, your campus or your volunteer center of Iowa. However, they're paid. The paid positions are on Iowa Western Community College's payroll. Iowa Western Community College is the host of Iowa Campus Compact, and they're located in Council Bluffs. And so that's why payroll goes through them. It doesn't go through your particular college or university. Paid positions, they serve at your site. So they don't serve here in Des Moines at my particular organization. They serve with you in your office. Unpaid positions, they can serve on campus, off campus, or both. A lot of times those are student positions, and the unpaid positions, we recognize that students are busy and that we need to be flexible in order to allow them to be able to serve that kind of minimum number. So there are minimum numbers of hours that positions have to be able to serve. And for the student level ones, it's 300 hours, and sometimes you have to be flexible and find ways to be able to make sure that those students can complete those hours to earn their education award at the end. All of our AmeriCorps positions, they do have to be supervised by the host site. You can certainly use other individuals to support that, have relationships with service sites on the community and that sort of thing, but ultimately the host site is held accountable for the supervision of the AmeriCorps positions. All AmeriCorps positions have to provide some sort of indirect service that is non-administrative to the host site or their nonprofit partners or whoever that is. Paid staff positions, they are on your payroll. They're not on iWestern's payroll. And we reimburse costs, so we're not going to award grant funds initially. We're only going to reimburse costs that have actually happened. And this is time that's dedicated to supervising the AmeriCorps members, overseeing the project there locally. It's not time to do other things that isn't related whatsoever to Campus Compact or AmeriCorps. What are the positions that we have that are available next year? So I've talked about we have stipended positions and unstipended and full-time and a half-time. Well, this is what it actually looks like. So we have program year full-time positions. They have to serve a minimum of 1,700 hours over the course of 11 months. We have academic half-time positions that serve 900 hours. That's the minimum number of hours, so they can certainly exceed that. And they have to serve that over the course of 9 months. And those both are paid positions, and I'll talk about benefits, what the actual pay and other benefits is here in a little bit. Our unpaid positions, we have a program year, academic, and semester positions, and they all have to serve a minimum of 300 hours. They can obviously serve more than that, and you can see the breakdown of the months that they have there. So it's, program years is 12 months. They cannot exceed that whatsoever. And then academic year based loosely around an academic year, about 9 months, 8 to 9 months, and then a semester is about 3 or 4 months. It does vary slightly for the unpaid positions based upon the needs of the community partner there locally and also the availability of the student. The paid positions are a firm 11-month, 9-month start and end dates with those particular positions. What are the specific benefits for each of the positions? So for those full-time positions, that 11-month, we pay a living allowance of $15,300. Returning members, we do pay more for them, $7,000 more, so $22,300. The position can also receive health insurance if it wants, an education award, support to attend the Civic Action Academy, childcare benefits if they're eligible as well. Academic half-time positions, they receive the $8,100 living allowance. And then if they're a returning member, they can receive a living allowance of $15,100. They also can get health insurance, access to education award, and also support to attend the Civic Action Academy as well. Benefits for the program year and the other minimum time positions, they do receive the education award as well as a scholarship and travel support to attend the Civic Action Academy. And then additionally to all this, I don't have this listed here, is that they do receive additional training opportunities through Campus Compact from our staff and other opportunities that we put together. So I did mention earlier that there are things like cost share and other sorts of things. This is a shared grant experience that we have. And we do have match obligations that come with with an AmeriCorps grant. And so we do ask that our campsites share those costs with us. And this is kind of a breakdown of what you can find in the host site application. So for our full-time positions, we have a cost share of $5,800. We do ask that $2,000 is paid prior to the position start. And then if it is a returning position, there's an additional $7,000 cost share for the returning member. We do ask the host site to be able to pay that fee. However, we are offering a $1,000 discount if additional benefits are provided to the full-time position or the stipended positions. And you can apply for that in the host site application. Type of benefits that we're expecting and looking for to see are like housing or meal plans or other sorts of benefits that are provided to the full-time member, in addition to the benefits that we're providing. We also do ask that host sites document local costs, and that could be in the area of personnel costs, member housing, other sort of program-related costs. If there's specific costs or supplies or things like that that you need to be able to do what you're doing there locally, you could document those with us, or pay an additional $2,000 cost share if you want. Most people don't opt for that option, but it is something that we're putting out there. This helps our program to meet its overall grant match obligation. For the half-time positions, the cost share is $3,800. We do ask for $1,400 of that prior to their start. And then there is the returning member additional cost share for that additional living allowance, and the discount, you can also apply for the discount for this position as well. We do also ask that you document additional local costs such as personnel costs, member housing, etc. For the minimum time positions, the student level positions, we do not collect any cost share. We don't pay any living allowance to them, so there's no cost share for you to really match with that particular program. But we do ask that you do document some local costs. That could be in the area of personnel costs to supervise or manage the members, member housing if you're providing member housing, or sharing that cost with the student level positions. Any sort of program related costs, or you can pay $50 additional cost share, and that is per position. I'll say for the minimum time positions, most choose the personnel cost because it's a pretty easy way to document it. You just submit monthly timesheets to us that just gives a total of how much is paid during that time. So I saw somebody, Amanda asked what the cost shares for full-time members will be. Hopefully this answers that question. If you have other questions about cost share, please let me know. And then also for documenting local costs, if you want to run through scenarios that make sense for what's going on in your particular organization, or you have additional questions about that, please let us know. We don't place a specific dollar amount on that. You know, we kind of want to work within the confines of what is happening there locally. For our stipended positions, usually for those, it's either personnel costs or member housing or member benefits, something like that. So for personnel time, if you are a campus or a site that is requesting personnel time, we set the limitation that you can request up to 50% of a staff's positions, wage, and benefits to supervise the Campus Compact AmeriCorps member positions. So we'll pay for up to half of a staff position's time to do that work. In return, we expect that all host sites who do receive personnel time to be able to match the awarded funds at a 1-to-1 match. For most sites, this means that you're matching it with the personnel time of the staff person, so they're up to almost fully dedicated to supervising the entire program, which is great. In other instances, we can work and find other ways to match those funds as well. So there are opportunities in there where we can kind of talk about what that might look like there locally. We do want you to prioritize enrolling first generation, individuals of color, or male students into the program. And then lastly, we do want to dedicate the position to the implementation of your civic action plan. We do have some guidelines around about how much you should be requesting based upon the size of the program that you have. So if you have about 15 to 20 part-time, those 300-hour positions, we're anticipating paying about 50% of a full-time member staff time. So we'll pay for about half of that position if you have a program of about that size. If you have about 10 part-time, those 300-hour positions, we'll pay about 25% of that staff's time. Obviously, this is going to vary, you know, based upon your local situation and what's going on there. So if you want to have additional conversations about what this might look like there locally, we're more than welcome to field those questions and to go through those scenarios with you. In addition to all that, we do expect that as we're investing more into your program and what's going on there locally, we do want to see more support from you to be able to recognize the great work of the program and what you're doing out in the community. So one key thing is in the area of marketing and communications, we want to be able to see sites who are receiving personnel fund to be able to release a press release, as well as other marketing products or communication stories that highlights what's going on with the program there, and any sort of current achievements about what your AmeriCorps positions are doing. We do ask that you take on additional responsibility in the area of member management. So we want to know that you're conducting a pre-orientation with your members, meeting with those members regularly, weekly or bi-weekly, individually, facilitating monthly team meetings, delivering a Title IX and harassment training to the AmeriCorps members, ensuring that they're attending key member training opportunities such as the Civic Action Academy, and also administering the Civic Competencies Evaluation tool that we'll provide your site to be able to evaluate your members' civic competencies. Additionally, on top of that, on the service site management, so if you have members who are serving out in the community and not just on campus, we want to know that you're conducting in-person site visits prior to placing a member to ensure such thing as member safety. We do want you to recruit, identify, and select your sites. We do want you to co-create the member position descriptions with your service sites, and then also coordinate an in-person orientation for your service site supervisors with our staff so we can ensure that everybody understands what AmeriCorps is and what the program is and the benefits and limitations of it. We do want you to administer a process to document AmeriCorps member service hours at the service site. Typically what we've with this program is that the personnel time that we're paying for, that person is the one that is reviewing and approving timesheets, but they don't serve side by side with their AmeriCorps members, and so we just need a way to be able to understand your method of processing and documenting how you know that those timesheets are accurate and correct as you approve them. That's where that's coming from. And then lastly, administer a partnership evaluation tool provided by Iowa Campus Compact. Additional program responsibilities, we do want you to attend a program orientation with us, recruit and enroll at least one full-time AmeriCorps position. That's not a firm requirement, but it is something that we encourage you to do, especially for larger cohorted programs. And then obviously, as I mentioned earlier, prioritize the selection of first-gen students of color and male students as part-time AmeriCorps member positions. On our side of responsibilities, we do see, or in terms of your role with Campus Compact, we do want you to lead the implementation and creation of your civic action plan, and then actively promote Campus Compact events and opportunities to relevant audiences on campus or in the community. So with all that, those are kind of some of the benefits and a little bit of some of the expectations that come along with some of those benefits. One of the things that we wanted to talk about pretty broadly is what are some of the things that AmeriCorps members can do? Obviously, you know, they're tied to your civic action plan, but what do they actually do in a day-to-day sort of thing? Well, this table, and it's included in the instructions, gives you maybe a little bit better of an understanding of what indirect or capacity building activities look like. You can kind of walk through this and see what might work with your particular positions. There are a lot of things that AmeriCorps members cannot do. And these are some of the prohibited activities that AmeriCorps has put together that are especially not allowed. So keep that in mind as you are thinking about ways that an AmeriCorps member can benefit your campus or your community. We do ask that all AmeriCorps positions have a position description that go along with them. In your application, we want to see you submit a full position description for your full or half-time position. We do have some templates that you can start off with and use those, and we also do have some guidelines that are written in there. However, one thing that I would suggest that you do is you're more than welcome to send us a draft position description so that we can review that either at the time of the application or even before that. We're happy to look through it and to be able to provide you with a different advice on how you can improve it. And then certainly one of the things that we also do is AmeriCorps has a lot of language requirements around what's allowed and not allowed in position descriptions, and we kind of serve as that filter to be able to make sure that things line up with that that position and align with what the grant is requiring. So what's the timeline for the application? So again, the deadline is that March 13th, 2020. At late March, we will be announcing tentative awards to applicants. We don't actually receive our notice of award until about mid-May, which is when we're going to send out the formal notices of award. So we don't want to, sign any sort of agreements or send out any official notices until, we know that we have the funding in hand. With that said, so one thing, this is how we've operated for the last many, many years. Two, but we've also been awarded each one of those years and have been able to largely honor every single award that we've received. So we're looking forward to being able to do that in the future as well. The program year begins in mid-August. So that's the date when AmeriCorps members can start on that date or later. They cannot start on the 14th or earlier in 2020, unfortunately. So they have to start on the 15th or later. That includes all paid positions. That also includes all the personnel positions. So we're not going to reimburse for personnel time that occurs in early August, but it has to be on the 15th or later. And then the program year, it goes through the October 31st, 2021. So that would be when we would expect to have all positions exited from the program and transitioning to the next program year after that. So in the area of selection, who do we select for the program, and what are some of the things that we're looking for, and what is a good application, is that we want to consider your ability to recruit members, manage the program, and really effectively supervise the members. I mean, this is a program that's based around having the AmeriCorps positions and ensuring their success to be able to complete the projects that you're identifying for them. So we want to know that you have the capacity to be able to manage and support those positions and being able to do that. For returning sites, we do look at your previous performance in order to determine what future awards will look like. And if you have questions about or concerns about the previous performance and you want to have more in-depth discussions with that, definitely reach out to our current contacts. So Monique Elfson would be the best person to contact about that. We also want to make sure that our campus host sites, that your positions have a connection to your civic action plan, either to create or implement it, and that there's some sort of connection in there. For Volunteer Centers of Iowa, just a reminder that we want to see those positions recruit and manage college student volunteers. In the area of personnel time, we're really looking for to fund campuses where it's either expanding a current staff member's time to partner with the community, or to use existing staff position to deeper partnerships with the community and students, or to create an entirely new staff position that does either of the above. And now I'm just going to dive into the host site application instructions. So I'm just going to kind of walk through the what the actual application looks like. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them into the chat box. Hopefully you can all see this. If anybody wants to give me a thumbs up, see the application or not. Cool, awesome. So this is what the actual application looks like. The first page is a lot of the instructions that you're going to find in the PDF document. You just come down here and click next, and this puts you into the actual application. It's a one-page application, so it's not across multiple ones. First one is just the applicant name. We want to just know who we're working with, and this is who we're going to be communicating with. Notify us if you're a continuing partner or not. There are different sets of questions if you are a continuing partner or if you're not. The difference is being we're just asking to know how last year went if you were a continuing partner, or if you're a new partner with us, we want to know what's your plan to support and manage your AmeriCorps members. That's the big difference there. We do want to know the site information, just to provide us with that, organization name, address, and things like that. Then we want to know about what your project goals are, and just sharing with us all the things that you expect to do with your AmeriCorps members in the community. And that does vary if you are a member institution or Volunteer Center of Iowa. The big difference there is that we want to know from volunteer centers if you are what your connection is with a member institution. Again, for new members or new sites, we want to know your means of support and supervision for your AmeriCorps members. And then we want to know about the requested positions. What are the number and types of requested positions? So again, here's the position description guidelines. Go ahead and take a look at those so that way you can understand what are the things that we're looking to see out of good position description. And then we also have the broad template, and then we have specific templates of common positions that we see in the program. And these are really based around the title of the position. So we do see some positions that are doing civic action planning and supporting that. We also see a lot of positions that do program development, research and development, and then also volunteer management and recruitment. So in the actual application, you tell us just the number of positions. For the stipended positions, it's going to ask that you upload a position description for that particular position that you're requesting for. Same thing for half-time positions. For the non-stipended ones, it doesn't ask you to upload a position description. We ask for that information later on into the program year after we've awarded you funding. You can tell us if you want personnel funding or not. So you can hit yes or no. You tell us how much. We do want you to upload a job description. We do want to know the percentage of total staff time that's being dedicated to supervising AmeriCorps members, and then a little bit about why you feel like this is going to benefit your campus and your program there overall. Lastly, we do provide you with a lot of match information about what's the total value of your award, as well as what your matching obligation is going to look like. And if you're requesting personnel funds, or if you're requesting a discount, there's a question here at the bottom where you can fill out and request that discount. Now, if you're not requesting personnel funds, that financial question at the bottom, there's going to be a new question here, and this is where we're asking for that local match that we're asking you to document. So maybe it's going to, the default here we're kind of offering is timesheets as a source of match, and it's going to provide you with a little bit of information on that. And then as you fill out the other ones, additional questions or information will pop up. And then you submit the form, and then you'll receive an email automatically that just tells you that the application has been received, and then that'll be sent to your email inbox. So that's kind of the first big half of the presentation, where we just kind of talked about the application. If you have any questions, feel free to ask now or put them into the chat box. Otherwise, I'm going to spend just a little bit of time talking about kind of what the post-award process looks like, and I'm more than happy to answer any sort of questions that you might have in between that time as well. But what does it actually look like to manage this particular program there locally? So some of the big key things to know is in the area of recruitment is that you're ultimately responsible for recruiting the positions that you want to place at your organization. We do support your ability to do that. So we do promote the positions through our social media feed, put it in our newsletter, try to recruit from our current pool of AmeriCorps members and students that we work with. But know that we do look to you to be able to recruit and select your own positions. You can certainly request additional support from us, but that's the kind of the baseline, is that we're going to promote and try to drive traffic to your particular posting. The reason why I say that is because we work with a whole wide variety of different organizations with different capacities in the area of human resource development. And so we are not going to set a baseline that is either unreasonable or just doesn't fit with what you're trying to do or what you have the capacity to do. So we want to have a conversation around that and just know how we can best support you. In the area of eligibility, there are some eligibility requirements. Certainly everyone has to be 17 years of age or older. They do have to pass our background and citizenship checks. So they do have to be a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident to be able to be a part of this program and pass our background check for this particular program. They have to have a high school diploma, GED, or working to obtain it. And then for our non-stipended positions, they have to be in good standing at the host site if you're a college or university. In the area of member obligations, what we're asking the AmeriCorps members to do, they have to serve those minimum hours between their start and end dates. That's established right at the beginning of their AmeriCorps term of service. They do have to submit timesheets every other week is what that should say. They do need to attend an in-person orientation that is provided by Iowa Campus Compact. And they have to complete enrollment and exit paperwork as well. We do want them to be attending the Civic Action Academy and then complete duties and tasks that is listed in their position description. On the host site, what we're asking the organizations to be able to do, certainly attend an orientation, create the position descriptions there locally for your AmeriCorps positions. We do help out with that process, however. Supervise your AmeriCorps members and serve as that lead contact in order to work with your AmeriCorps positions. Review and approve all member timesheets, and then submit performance and financial reports as necessary. And then lastly, for our campus partners, submitting that civic action plan or civic action plan implementation report that talks about how you're working towards achieving the goals in your plan. And then lastly, we do have some member training opportunities that we're looking at implementing this next year. These are provided mostly for the stipended positions, and then we'll put together a separate calendar for our non-stipended positions to be able to support them throughout the program here. But just broadly, provide them with an orientation, monthly opportunities to connect with other AmeriCorps members within Campus Compact, and then do a couple of in-person opportunities, as well as a closeout celebration opportunity here in Des Moines. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, and I'll put our pictures and contact information up here. You're more than welcome to reach out to me or anybody else on the team, and we will answer your questions about the Campus Compact AmeriCorps program. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to stop recording now,